Okay, problem 7 of section 1.3. Solve the equation in the complex number system. X squared minus 14x plus 113 equals 0. This is one of those you could try to factor it, but it's not going to work. So you're going to have to go to some other source of solving it. And I'm going to solve it by the two sources that could easily be used here. One is completing the square, and the other one, of course, is the quadratic formula. First, I'm doing completing the square. We set it up. We would move the constant term. Now, actual completing the square. Half of 14 is 7, and 7 squared is 49. We add 49 to the left and 49 to the right. Then you would simplify that. The x squared minus 14x does factor into the binomial squared. That was the whole purpose of completing the square. When you combine these two numbers, you get the negative 64. Now, as before, we'll continue on. We'll take the square root of both sides, and that leaves me with just x minus 7. When we take the square root here, the square root of negative 64 is 8i, and we need to remember the plus and minus. Move this 7 over. So you've got 7 plus 8i and 7 minus 8i. Now, I will go through it using the quadratic formula. And when you use the quadratic formula, your equation needs to be in standard form, which this equation is. Your A is 1, your B is negative 14, and your C is 113. So everything is there. Identified my A, B, and C. I've written in my quadratic formula, very important. Then we come in and we actually substitute into the quadratic formula. Put in the B's, put in the A's, and put in the C. I always use parentheses. It helps me spot mistakes if I make them. It avoids sign mistakes to some extent. The opposite of negative 14, positive 14. You square negative 14, 196. 4 times 1 times 113 is negative 452. You're subtracting here. You get negative 256. 2 times 1 is 2. The square root of negative 256 is 16. 256 is a perfect square. Since it's negative, it becomes 16i. Now you've got two distinct answers, one with a plus and a minus, and we break them up in 14 over 2, 16i over 2, 14 over 2, and this sign should be a minus sign right there. And when you simplify them on out, you get 7 plus 8i, 7 minus 8i, and if you look back up, that's the exact same answer that we got right here when we completed the square. Either method works. You do what you're most comfortable with. I hope that you can do both of them. I use completing the square when it is the best, and when all else fails, I go to the quadratic formula.